Let's talk about some possible in-flight problems, what you need to do to handle them, and how to keep your cool while you're doing what's necessary. We'll cover the most common emergencies you're likely to face and give you some easy-to-remember tips and procedures the pros use, such as flow patterns. Now, of course, much of what we're going to tell you is a supplement to the emergency procedures in your aircraft checklist and pilot's information manual. But sometimes you have to take action before you have time to read a book. It'd be like going into a singles bar and me sitting there reading a book on how to meet women. It just doesn't work that way. So we'll help you with those immediate action memory items, which are shown in boldface in your Skyhawk's emergency procedures checklist. Now, at a minimum, you should have these items memorized and be able to do them automatically. You know, the best time to deal with an emergency is before it happens, by thorough pre-flight planning. The National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, estimates that 85% of all accidents and incidents are caused by pilot error. And I guess you could attribute the rest to mechanical failure. Now, in my case, I still call all of my incidents a mechanical failure. Basically, it's a loose nut connecting the yoke and the throttle. Think about it. But even with the best planning, emergencies can arise, and the best way to be prepared to handle them is to practice the procedures before you need them. So let's go over some basic rules that will make handling any emergency smoother. It's important to keep your priorities straight. You want to aviate, navigate, and communicate in that order. Aviate. Keep the shiny side up and the nose pointed forward, or keep the aircraft under control. That's very important. Keep control of that aircraft. Watch your airspeed and altitude. Be deliberate. Slow down and establish a workmanlike pace. You know, it's been said, there's no emergency so serious that you can't make it worse by getting in a hurry. You will eventually contact the ground, and the results will be much better if you have the airplane under control. This is known as flying the airplane. And if you don't do anything else, please at least fly the airplane. Now, next is navigate. You've got to keep the airplane out of the trees and heading for a landing site. And lastly, communicate. When you have the time, call for help. You can use a local tower frequency or even ground control to talk to someone. Or, if you're not in contact with anyone, you can use the emergency frequency of 121.5. Now, two concepts you will see regarding emergencies are land as soon as practicable versus land as soon as possible. What does land as soon as practicable mean? Well, according to the dictionary, practicable means feasible, capable of being used. You will use this concept with situations like a rough engine, a bird strike, when you have a frightened passenger, or smoke in the cockpit, or even a smoking frightened passenger. These are problems for you, but you don't need to land immediately in some pasture. You should be looking for a suitable airport, like an airport with a long enough runway considering the wind, but not necessarily one that has fuel or even where you can get your airplane repaired. It would be nice to land on an airport that has these things, but you don't want to pass up a suitable airport just to look for one that's perfect. And you definitely would not want to continue on an extended cross-country. Well, how about land as soon as possible? Well, according to the dictionary, possible means as soon as can be done. In this case, you need to look for the closest flat spot. Certainly land at an airport if one is near, but otherwise, the nearest area which is relatively flat will do. This is when conditions are really serious, like a fire that won't go out, an engine that you can't get restarted, one that is about to stop, such as when you have no oil pressure and increasing oil temperature, or an airframe structural problem. With these problems, you must get on the ground now to prevent a situation in which you can't control the airplane all the way to the ground. Now, when should you declare an emergency? Whenever you think you need to get special help. The pilot in command is the final authority. It's your pick, your decision as to whether you need help. Don't be reluctant to confess that you have a problem and ask for help. In fact, can anybody lend me $5? In the Aeronautical Information Manual, the FAA defines an emergency as a distress or urgency situation. Now, distress means to be threatened by serious and/or imminent danger. In other words, a situation requiring immediate action, something like an engine failure. The radio call for a distress situation is Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. You only use this term when you need immediate assistance and you can't seem to get anyone to listen to you on the radio. But on the other hand, don't hesitate to use it if you need to get immediate assistance. The other term is an urgent condition. Now, an urgent condition is a potential distress condition, meaning that you are concerned about your safety and you require timely but not immediate assistance. Some examples of urgent conditions are when you become doubtful about your position, your fuel endurance, the weather, or other conditions that could adversely affect the safety of your flight. This is the time to ask for help, not after the situation has developed into a distress condition. For an urgent situation, the radio call is PAN, 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 not PAM, 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 or they're going to descend on your airplane with pure vegetable cooking oil when you land. It's PAN. Again, you only use this term when you need assistance and you can't seem to get anyone to listen to you on the radio. If you're not already in contact with a radio facility, you might want to use the emergency frequency of 121.5. Also, consider squawking 7700 on your transponder, which is, as you know, the emergency code. It really does get the attention of controllers in a big hurry. Now, when you do call for help on the radio, you may actually get too many answers. You're likely to get more help than you can possibly deal with while providing proper attention to your emergency. Pick one person to talk with and tell everyone else to stand by. Now, let's wrap this up. Lots of pilots do worry about declaring emergencies or calling for help because they're concerned about the amount of paperwork involved. Folks, that is tomorrow's problem. Take care of your emergency in a timely manner now so that you're around with us tomorrow to complain about that paperwork later.